Okay, hopefully this person can read the story how it actually is. Otherwise, I don't know what we're going to do. Because, what the whole point of this is to, so that I can wake up on January the 1st and then feel fresh. That's why we're, listening to all of these things. Okay, here we go. Go to the beginning again. Let's hope that this, they always say third time's a charm. By the way, before we begin, I just want to open the blinds. They've been closed all day, especially in the morning, because the lights just get into them a little bit bright. No, it's not really bright.
The Blue Hotel. The Palace Hotel at Fort Romper was painted a light blue, a shade that is on the legs of a kind of heron, causing the bird to declare its position against any background. The Palace Hotel, then, was always screaming and howling in a way that made the dazzling winter landscape of Nebraska seem only a gray, swampish hush. It stood alone on the prairie, and when the snow was falling, the town, 200 yards away, was not visible. But when the traveler alighted at the railway station, he was obliged to pass the Palace Hotel before he could come upon the company of low clapboard houses which composed Fort Romper, and it was not to be thought that any traveler could pass the Palace Hotel without looking at it. Pat Scully, the proprietor, had proved himself a master of strategy when he chose his paints. It is true that on clear days, when the great transcontinental expresses, long lines of swaying Pullmans, swept through Fort Romper, passengers were overcome at the sight.
Still doing it,
and
but
the
not
cult
by
that
much.
knows the brown reds and the subdivisions of the dark greens of the East expressed shame, pity, horror in a laugh. But to the citizens of this prairie town, and to the people who would naturally stop there, Pat Scully had performed a feat. With this
So, okay, I just want to stop you. Okay, what 87? So, let me see here. Oh, it's 4:12. I'm gonna have to delay it a bit. Oh, and no, they are already. Perfect timing. I'm gonna delay it until 4:30, 4:25, I think, because I want to get this started with them, and I've been having to try find the right audiobook, and it's been taking a while, so just postpone it a little bit more. I don't think that it would be a bad idea. Okay, it would really help. Okay, so I just don't want you to take a whole lot of difficulty with me because I'm trying to do this and I want the time and the leisure to be able to do it and the space to be able to do it. Okay, so it doesn't take that long to wait. Until 25 after or 30 after. Okay. So don't get all argumentative and just I don't want to argue. I just want to have this go smoothly. So just agree to what I'm saying and then come back. Okay? Thank you very much. All right. No, I wasn't. No. Well, I just didn't want to talk about it because of the situation. So I don't think that it's a big deal. Where are we at? Okay, as if the displayed, I believe.
Under These creeds, classes, egotisms that streamed through Romper on the rails day after day, they had no color in common. As if the displayed delights of such a blue hotel were not sufficiently enticing, it was Scully's habit to go every morning and evening to meet the leisurely trains that stopped at Romper and work his seductions upon any man that he might see wavering, gripsack in hand. One morning, when a snow-crusted engine dragged its long string of freight cars and its one-passenger coach to the station, Scully performed the marvel of catching three men. One was a shaky and quick-eyed Swede with a great shining cheek valise. One was a tall, bronzed cowboy who was on his way to a ranch near the Dakota line. One was a little silent man from the east who didn't look it and didn't announce it. Scully practically made them prisoners. He was so nimble and merry and kindly that each probably felt it would be the height of brutality to try to escape. They trudged off over the creaking board sidewalks in the wake of the eager little Irishman. He wore a heavy fur cap squeezed tightly down on his head. It caused his two red ears to stick out stiffly, as if they were made of tin. At last, Scully, elaborately with boisterous hospitality, conducted them through the portals of the Blue Hotel. The room which they entered was small. It seemed to be merely a proper temple for an enormous stove, which in the center was humming with godlike violence. At various points on its surface, the iron had become luminous and glowed yellow from the heat. Beside the stove, Scully's son, Johnny, was playing high-five with an old farmer who had whiskers both gray and sandy. They were quarreling. Frequently, the old farmer turned his face toward a box of sawdust, colored brown from tobacco juice, that was behind the stove, and spat with an air of great impatience and irritation. With a loud flourish of words, Scully destroyed the game of cards and bustled his son upstairs with part of the baggage of the new guests. He himself conducted them to 3 basins of the coldest water in the world. The cowboy and the Easterner burnished themselves fiery red with this water, until it seemed to be some kind of a metal polish. The Swede, however, merely dipped his fingers gingerly and with trepidation. It was notable that throughout this series of small ceremonies, the 3 travelers were made to feel that Scully was very benevolent. He was conferring great favors upon them. He handed the towel from one to the other with an air of philanthropic impulse. Afterward, they went to the first room, and sitting about the stove, listened to Scully's officious clamor at his daughters, who were preparing the midday meal. They reflected in the silence of experienced men who tread carefully amid new people. Nevertheless, the old farmer, stationary, invincible in his chair near the warmest part of the stove, turned his face from the sawdust box frequently and addressed a glowing commonplace to the strangers. Usually he was answered in short but adequate sentences by either the cowboy or the Easterner. The Swede said nothing. He seemed to be occupied in making furtive estimates of each man in the room. One might have thought that he had the sense of silly suspicion.
Okay, if I stopped it for the same reasons, I'm going to stop it for the same reasons. It's going to be a double standard if I, you know what, how we just heal. Okay, I might just have to go ahead and do it. Okay, forget about it. This is just gonna continue, and it's not gonna go along with the story. And I don't know if they changed it, but I doubt. I don't want to have to go searching through an audiobook. So you know what? I'm gonna probably have to. If I want it done right, they say you need to do it yourself. So I will, in fact, make an audiobook of this on Photo Booth. And then I'll do the same thing. That's really disappointing. I wish that I went through and I listened to the audiobooks, but you never know. I don't know what it is.
why can't they just read the story? Why do they have to, read off the story? I wouldn't think that Reader's Digest would try to, edit out those bits of it. So, if I were to have it keep going, then it probably would be a double standard. Why wouldn't I just keep going with the other one if this one was the same? So, it's going to be filled that way. So now we have to have the veterans come in because of the whole situation. Okay. So yeah. Okay, everybody. Well, you know what? Things happen that you don't expect sometimes. So that's how the cookie crumbled today. So we're going to be getting into it probably later. So maybe tomorrow. Here's the deal. I've been putting something off for a while. One day I didn't have time. I had busy things to do. Next day, the same thing. The next day, the same thing. And, now it's another issue. I can't find the right thing. So, I don't know, when we're going to start or probably later. But, point being, that, I appreciate you for waiting. You actually came in, at the right time. I just don't like being rushed when I'm trying to, do something. But of course, you didn't know. And, thank you for, being, cooperative, with me on that. I appreciate it. So now would be a good time to do it. That was all for naught. My motto, everybody, on things being all for naught. But I don't know why, but I'm just gonna have to, do it myself and try to, record an audio of this. And I don't know if we're gonna be starting it either Saturday or tomorrow. We'll just have to see. But that's what's gonna happen. That's what it's gonna come down to. And that's the same story that I, copied and pasted into, the Google documents and, printed out, multiple copies. And, I know you're all thinking. So, yep. Sorry, everybody. So you can go bring them in and we can start.